pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, can we get a roll call?
Yes. Councilman Cypress?
Here.
Councilman Larka?
Here.
Councilwoman Lewis? Here. Councilman Mazzata?
Here.
Supervisor Durante?
Here. Welcome to the March 7th Town Hall meeting. I'd like to make a motion to go back to executive session. Come out of.
We'll do the back, right?
Okay. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just looking for my pen. Okay, I make a motion to open the public session, the public hearing session for the,
Sorry,
I
second.
think you have to read the public hearing and then make a motion there.
yeah, make a motion to waive the reading. The proposed amendment, local law to amend Chapter 138 of the Town Code regarding medical office uses. To waive the reading of the notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the amendment to Chapter 138? No? I make a motion to close the public hearing
Second.
And leave the comment period.
and leave a 5-day comment period open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So our work session, our only item is to discuss historic site commission's updates. I think, here she comes. Excellent.
Kathy Croft,
Kathy
our
Croft.
chairman of Historic Sites, chairperson of Historic Sites.
Good evening.
Kathy, just tell us who you are for the,
Okay, sure.
even though we
Yeah.
all said it twice.
So I'm the chairperson of the Historic Sites Commission. I've been on the Historic Sites Commission for a long time, well over 10 years. But I was made chair in January of this year.
And we are happy for that.
Well, that's good. So, and okay, great. And I'm happy that I'm going to be joined by you're going to appoint a town historian tonight and another member of our commission. So to give you a little background, we had sent you guys a letter. I sent you a letter on February 1st. And it was just, we realized for years and years, we've discussed notifying owners of that are on the historic sites list, and the letter never got sent out. So we'd like to send the letter out to people that are on the list. There's 39 properties on that historic sites list. Originally, we had wanted to also notify people that lived on a scenic and historic route. There's about 6, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 roads in the town that are on the scenic and historic route. And because they have to conform to a 50-foot buffer if they're going to have any disturbance in their buffer or do anything to their house, if it's within that 50 feet, it's supposed to come before the Historic Sites Commission. If it's a regular maintenance issue of a house and stuff like that, there's a lot to the Historic Sites law, Chapter 83, and most of the members on the commission have never had training. I had training years ago from Ashley Lay, who's the town's, she works for the town planner. So we had, we discussed a lot of different things. One was having you guys send out a letter to people that are on the historic sites list. The second was updating the website, which I've worked with Victoria on, and we've tightened it up a bit, and we can tighten it some more. A third was having training, offering it in maybe May of this year, opening it up to other boards, and I think they can get credits for it for their, I forget what they have to have yearly as far as training for planning board and ZBA, and then. As I said, if the town board sends the letters out, then they can have the date of the training in that letter. And also, we were talking about signage on the scenic and historic roads. I went out last Saturday driving around, and I think I came up with 11 locations if there was a sign located at the end and at each end of the road. I have not. I was going to try to get quotes on the signs, but I don't know what size. I think just something, if it could be like a trade, like if we can trademark ourselves. And I actually had been thinking about the town seal, but something simple, something that kids don't want to steal, and but something eye-catching. So, and that can be further down the road. That doesn't have to be immediately, because obviously we didn't budget for any of this. We also we had last year, the town generously donated, I think it was $1,500 each for historic signs. So we have 2 of those blue and yellow signs that you see around the state. And those have been delivered to the historian's office. One of them is for Old Southeast Cemetery, and the other one is for the intersection of Sodom Road and Brewster Hill Road for the Old Southeast Center. And we had talked about maybe doing a ceremony, an unveiling as it were, when the weather warms up, for the sign that's up at Sears Cemetery. And I did reach out to the new historian today and asked him if he, because he's done a lot of research. He's lived, I guess he grew up in Southeast, so he's lived here forever. Yeah.
We haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, well, it's on your agenda, so, and the name is there. It's not.
You never know.
So if anybody takes the time to read it, it's not a secret. But anyway, so we were thinking of having a ceremony, and I had spoken with Paul Slavinsky, who does a lot of the maintenance at the cemetery at Sears, or Old Southeast Church Cemetery. And then let's see what else we've been talking about.
Kathy, does Paul volunteer when he does that?
I would assume he does. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Not a clue.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't just take care of it. There's an Old Southeast Cemetery, I'll say corporation, I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, so he is on the board of that. I doubt he takes a salary, but it's not like he just mows the grass.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, and it's,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's part of.
He's a landscaper. He's a landscape designer. So, but what I found interesting was that on the e-parcel, on the listing, is Lori here? No, she's not here. The town owns the cemetery, but it also says Old Southeast Church. It doesn't say landmarks. So I'm curious as to who the cemetery is co-owned by. But it's active. I mean, they do burials there.
Yeah.
They sell plots.
Yeah, I've actually been, not to, but just because you brought that up, I've been trying to find out all that paperwork of the ownership and that kind of stuff. I've worked with the county, I've worked with Lori, and honestly, I can't figure it out yet, so.
Okay, all right, because I looked at when I was looking at it, I was like, it doesn't, it's a little, because I figured it might say landmarks, and it didn't say landmarks preservation, so that's interesting. But anyways, the town maintains it, I would assume, because they have to, there's a New York State law where cemeteries need to be maintained.
Yeah.
So, but and that's a good segue to Drews Cliff Cemetery, which is down off of 124 on your way to North Salem. It's across the street from the castle, Drews Castle.
Right on 684, right?
Yep.
Yep, it's noisy. And it's a beautiful cemetery. Daniel Drew is buried there. There's a bunch of Meads and Keelers, and but there's a lot of damage that's been done just through weathering over the years. And there's a really old section of the cemetery that just has stones. There's no really headstones or anything. And I found somebody that would donate. There was a man that came down from the Catskills, and he had worked with Steve Matson when they had that big search for Jedediah Wood's headstone, and then they found Jedediah's wife's, Abigail's, headstone years later. And anyways, Kurt Riegel came down and he restored both of those headstones and then put them up in the cemetery. He seems really busy. I'm in the process of looking for someone else that maybe could give us a quote, but we have to have a starting point. But I think it would be a great project that could, long-term, absolutely. And I think there's a lot more, like you have to notify members of the family who's, you know, their descendants of who's buried there, that you know, if you need to do something to the headstone. And that's what they did for Jedediah Wood's headstone. And actually the family gave a donation towards that. So, so there's a lot that we've been working on. And I'd also like to talk to Ashley, and Eric Cypress is aware of this. And I'm thankful that we have Eric Cypress coming to our meetings, because it's just nice to have a member of the town board interested in what we do.
Especially when they're not in trouble. About trees.
That would be that, Eric.
Yeah. So, and I forget what I was going to say, but at any rate, there is a lot that we can, updating the town code, there's a few things that I, need clarification on.
The one thing that you're familiar with is how we missed that window on that one application. So that's the main thing they want to change, is give them a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So
I second.
So, yeah, I mean, I 100% support the code change. When I was, I think, first on the Architecture Review Board, we did training for all the boards, and I don't think we've done it yet. So that's like 12 years ago. So totally in favor of doing the training session. It will help the other boards. You guys were both on planning. You needed credits. The letter, obviously, is a no-brainer. So, signs and stuff, we got to figure out if we could afford it. But.
Right.
And I should discuss the price. So Ashley had given us 3 prices. So one is if she did it by Zoom, it was $500. The second was on a weekend, on a weekend it was $1,000, and then the third was on a weeknight it was $800.
Yeah.
And Eric and I had discussed it, and we thought, on a weeknight it would be equitable, and because Zoom is just not.
In person's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That was for Ashley to do it herself?
Yeah, I think herself. I should maybe nail that down, that it's her.
I wonder if there's maybe some lower level.
Yes.
It'd be a lot cheaper.
Oh.
one of her
Well, she's
friends.
really good, because when we did it the last time, we realized that we had purview over the interior of historic structures, and we took that out of the code, because my feeling was, especially if it's somebody's private house, why are we telling them what they can do inside their house? Now, I was doing a lot of research this past weekend, and one thing, because I was looking up 67 Main Street, and one thing they do discuss is if it's a public building that's visited by the public a lot, then maybe you do want to have purview over the interiors. But right now, we do not. That was taken out of the code.
Okay.
So,
Kathy, I'd love to see our symbol, because with some of these things that we're going to be doing to clean up a little bit, I'm going to try to incorporate that on some of our buildings,
yeah,
so that people know,
right.
we're kind of all in this together. So
Yep. Yeah, I reached out to Extreme Design today just to ask about a quote. So
yeah,
I
let's
just
talk about that on the
Yeah.
phone one day.
yeah. So any questions from anybody, or concerns, or
Mr. Bell?
Come on up, Mr. Bell.
Hi, Peter Bell, Code Enforcement Officer for the town. I just had a question for Kathy. I've read the town code, and the town code says you can't do anything in the buffer on a scenic road.
without coming to us first?
My question is, have people been coming to you?
Just me. Because I got in trouble.
For example, there's a new, there's a new project going on Milltown, where they just cleared away, they're gonna be putting a house, and certainly that should have been something that they came to you for. Until I read the code, I didn't even know this existed. And it's Birch Hill, Allview, Milltown, all of those can't do anything in the buffer without going to the Historic Sites Committee. and I don't think I need to do it.
Well,
Right, so that's
I
why,
got,
oh, I'm sorry.
I got pinched for it, and that property is across the street from me.
Because he brought that in.
Well, you're in the vision of everybody else.
Now I am.
One of her suggestions was mailing to everybody, and I don't think she quite finished that, but, you know, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it probably makes sense, but it might be more than we could spend now. But, you know, when it's a larger project, you should be going for a building permit, and the building department should be telling them to go there. But, you know, if Eric just randomly cuts down a tree, you know, that's different, so.
Correct.
On to Middletown.
That actually segued into what's been running through my mind. So if I were to buy in a historical district or a historical home, we have many, is anything presented to the buyer at any point? That I'm just curious, how do I know what colors I can paint my house? Because I know there are rules, regulations as far as what you can do to the exterior.
Can I give just a little reply to that?
Yeah.
There should be something in what we call M5, which is the computer system for the building department and for the town. There should be a certificate from the Historic Sites Commission that this is a historic building. And it should be noted in M5 that no changes can be made to this at this point in time on the outside other than putting up new trees. And I know it's not in there.
Is that like a deed restriction? Oh, sorry, Kathy.
Oh,
go ahead.
well, what I was gonna say, and I have to correct you on the trees, because if you're like with Mr. Larka,
Allegedly.
the trees came down, and then he's talking about, replanting, and I said, you have to come before us before you replant too. So, and again, that's in the code. Is that too restrictive? I don't know. It's a discussion with Ashley.
Actually, I just reread the code, and the code says you don't have to go for
Maintenance.
or putting up new trees. Just to clarify.
Perfect. It's on the record.
Well, I read a different section then.
I'll go with Peter.
I'm going with my section. But, yeah, so that's a good question. We don't have colors.
Yeah, no,
There's
that's
no
interesting
colors.
because I was always aware, but, perhaps a new buyer coming in, you're buying a home with many restrictions.
It's on their real estate. It's on their listing.
But never
because,
flagged, yeah.
yeah,
never.
well, a good realtor probably points it out.
What'd you say, there were 39?
39.
Homes, yeah,
That includes the 2 cemeteries.
Okay.
Yep,
interesting.
67 Main, 1
I was just always
Main.
curious about that,
Yeah, Yep.
how one would know what they could do and what they couldn't. do
exactly.
with the home.
Well, usually the building department would flag it, but there were. I was surprised on my drive on Saturday because there was one section that was it was clear cut. It was more than a 50-foot buffer. It looked like there was a retention basin. There was so much earth movement, and we hadn't been notified. I hadn't, and I just became the chair, but obviously if somebody had come, to my prior chair, that he would have brought it up to us, so.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
might get me in trouble, Kathy, but is there a way that if our code enforcement guy is driving down a historical road, he sees something going on, can he stop and ask if he's spoken with them?
I don't know if you could stop and ask, but that's up to Peter, but you could definitely enforce it.
Yes.
As Eric knows.
That's
Or
what
flag
happened to me.
it.
Yes, oh, so we can, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving down my road the other day, and out of my peripheral vision, I noticed somebody's done a change on a historic
I
site.
saw that too.
Aha. And I
I
have to
noticed
stop
that
and
too,
take a
Kat.
picture because I was like, whoa.
It looks lovely, but it's a big change.
Yeah.
To a historical home.
Yep.
prominent
Wendy's a neighbor.
historical. Yeah. We
Yeah.
complain about a lot of similar things.
Yeah, so, and I was surprised to see it because I know it didn't come in front of us. And another building that was on the property that had been taken down and everything did come before us.
Oh, they did come to you for that?
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, I was really surprised when I saw that change
Yep.
for that house. I mean, I like it, but I was just surprised that it was
yep,
there.
yeah. So, but yes, if anybody sees something, you know, what I would recommend is calling up the building inspector.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would assume you could reach out to him too if you
I
see
will.
something that.
It's been busy, but I will. Yep. So, any other questions?
No, thank you.
No?
Thank you.
I like
Okay.
it.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
I'm
and-
looking
We
forward to the
appreciate it.
training, actually, because I'm always interested in that
Great.
stuff, so.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Have a good night, Kev. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open the regular meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd also like to make a motion to set a public hearing for Barn Dogs Farm special permit for Thursday, March 21st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing for Arbor Creek Farms, Thursday, April 11th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a few resolutions. First resolutions is to appoint our town historian. I think that's been a little thing we're all looking forward to. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby appoints Jack Alcott as town historian, and be it further resolved that these appointments shall take effect upon the taking of filing of the appropriate oath of office with the clerk of the town of Southeast. Moving on to our next resolution.
You gotta-
Second.
Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry.
He didn't,
Roll
he
call
didn't
or?
move it, really,
Yeah,
but
you're supposed to say so moved.
Oh, so moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that. Our second resolution is to appoint Historic Sites Committee member Jack Alcott. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby appoints Jack Alcott to fill an expired term of December 31st, 2026 as a member of the town of Southeast Historic Sites Commission, and be it further resolved that these appointments shall take effect upon the taking and filing of the appropriate oath of office with the clerk of the town of Southeast. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our third resolution is the Parkview settlement at 530 North Main Street. Map ID 56.82-1-47.1. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast does hereby accept the recommendation of its professional advisors and authorizes the town attorney to execute a stipulation of settlement, consent judgment, and order on consent in accordance with the said recommendations for the following tax ID of Parkview residents. It's 56.82-1-47. For the year 2023, with an assessment of $3 million and a settled assessment of $2,550,000. And be it further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to execute all stipulations, consent orders, or other documents necessary to reflect the foregoing settlement. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our final resolution is Local Law 138, smoke shops. Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 1 of 2024 pursuant to the home rule law to amend chapter 138 of the town code zoning to amend the definitions therein to define the terms smoke shops and smoke shop products, and to further amend the zoning code to prohibit the establishment of smoke shops within the town of Southeast, and be it further resolved that the town clerk being hereby is authorized and directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York within the time required by law. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that concludes our business. If anyone from the public would like to come up and give us a comment, you're more than welcome. Ma'am? No? Okay. So anybody from the town board like to have a comment?
I have no comments.
I have no comment.
No,
If everything's okay, that's good. I make a motion to close the meeting?
Nope, make a motion to go back into executive.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I make a motion to go back into executive session.
No action will be taken.
No action will be taken.
second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.